Yeah, it's right on the web.
Right on the main page, I thought it would be easier than texting. Right on the main page of our website, our Zoom meeting number is right there.
Okay, just click the link and.
Yep, go right to the town website and it'll say Zoom meeting, and then call that, and then, Google will let you in. Yeah, if you can't do it, just text me that. The next one, Mr. Menard. A very interesting one. The next 3, Sears Boulevard. So, when we say the application, we say to the people, hey, you gotta fill out the application, you gotta fill out the application, please put a little more info in the application. It's the application that we got. That being said, they put a foundation where it's not supposed to be. Not once, not twice, but 3 times between me and Alan said it doesn't look like it's in the right spot. Make sure you get somebody to go in there and put it in the right spot. Make sure you go out there. Alan went out there, said it still doesn't look like it's in the right spot. It's in the right spot. We had Dean Lashway go out there and stake it 3 times. Guess what happened?
Not in the right spot.
Not once, not twice, but three variances because it wasn't in the right spot. Is there other means necessary? Garage. These are all questions for you guys. You'll hear Alan and I's dissertation on what took place.
Mr. Van wrote this down.
That's it.
And he got, yeah, thank you. Did you guys also get color copies of this?
Yes.
Okay. So you can see, so there's 2 front yards.
Oh, no, you said colored.
Oh, yeah, no.
You guys, well, we only had 1 coloring contest in the coach department. Sorry, I thought we had 2. So you can see the one is,
The corner line.
yeah, so you got 2 front yards. What 3 variances, I should say.
Oh, yeah, yes.
So we got 1 variance of 1 foot 3 inches, 1 variance of 8 feet 8 inches, and 1 variance of 4 feet 10 inches.
I gotta make sure that these match up with the ones that are on this number. That's what, let me check real quick. The first one is the 1.1.
Right.
Second one is gonna be the 8x12 deck.
Right.
And then the third one would be for the garage.
So Dean Lashway was actually the one that didn't mark it right, or just?
They can answer those questions. Who, what, where, what took place.
I mean, it's not harassment. Didn't have to be.
So, his explanation is not, as to why, the foundation was put there. And
And we can, and I say this in the nicest way, when applications are given to us, please, you might want to elaborate more. You might want to give a little more attention to detail. Heck, resubmit these.
I'm gonna start recording now.
Donna, we're good on this?
Yes.
Looks like we just got like a minute to go.
This meeting is being recorded.
Don't get caught with that mask on, we're down in this room.
Just for you.
Thank you.
We may want to make an announcement that there's no community parking.
Okay. We'll just do that.
There you go.
Everybody can see it, right?
Oh, okay. All right, so, let's rise and we can start the meeting. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are doing Zoom, so I guess I won't have to actually say that X's are marked and have your cell phones on silence. And can we have a roll call?
Henry Hale,
Yes.
Sherman Revenue,
Here.
Fossil LaForest is absent, Roger Black,
Here.
Mary Ann Alexander. Here. Patrick Duhane.
Here.
Alexander Forster is absent, Melanie Marr,
Yes, here.
Stephen Einhoff.
Here.
Alan Reed,
Here.
Drew Arthur,
Here.
Matthew Fabro.
It's on Zoom.
Okay.
And can we have an approval that the notice of the meeting was published as necessary?
So moved.
Second. And roll call on that?
Henry Hale,
Yes.
Sherman Revenue,
Yes.
Roger Black,
Yes.
Mary Ann Alexander,
Yes.
Patrick Duhane.
Yes.
Melanie Marr.
Yes.
All right, and then to approve last month's minutes and waive the reading of those minutes?
Make a motion?
And second?
Second.
And a roll call on that?
Henry Hale,
Yes.
Sherman Revenue,
Yes.
Roger Black,
Yes.
Mary Ann Alexander,
Yes.
Patrick Duhane.
Yes.
Melanie Marr.
Yes.
All right, then old business. Steve?
Mr. Chairman, just to everybody that's on the Zoom meeting, thank you for joining us. We apologize if you guys didn't get the notice for the appeal number 2051, Matt Murphy. LLC will not be heard. Was it Mr. Murnane that asked for the continuation?
Thomas Murnane.
Tom Murnane, the Esquire representing Matt Murphy, asked for a continuation till next month to be able to get some more info to us. We apologize. We tried to get all our letters back out to you guys saying that it wasn't going to be heard. So anybody that is zooming in or zooming in or listening via the phone, that will not be heard tonight. The first appeal is going to be 2204 Ronnie Marks at 32 Hill Drive. Do we know if it's good? He's Jeff Burns on there? Aaron, is this going to be you or is this going to be Jeff Burns? Hold on, we're going to get you off mute.
Aaron, is this you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's you, not Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so it's Ronnie Marks at 32 Hill Drive asking for an area variance request to be allowed to subdivide a parcel that would create a parcel that would be 50 feet road frontage, which is 75 foot deficient of the 125 road frontage in an R2 district. I'll let Alan go over the details if you guys can all follow along on the Zoom that are listening in, the neighbors, to see where Mr. Marks and what he's proposing.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, people on Zoom can't see the red dot, but you guys can see it. It's this large parcel right here. This is the entrance going into the parcel. So this is Smoky Ridge, this is Hill Drive right here. The frontage is on Duran Road here and right here on Smoky Ridge. See the whole area is zoned R2? Just to zoom in a little bit, so we're looking at this right here as a easement access to what they're gonna divide up. Here's what it looks like today, so that's that driveway going into the back. This is the frontage on Duran Road. You can see the difference from elevation from here to there. That's that, I believe last month or the month before, they talked about how the elevation jumped up right here. That's that outcropping right there. So this is the drawings you guys have in your packets. So you can't tell the color's really good here, but this outside is the orange color. That is the main parcel as it is right now. This is the existing house on the property. This is the new proposed subdivision line that comes down like here and connects back here. And then there'll be an easement from this point up for shared access for these two parcels. Okay, Aaron, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Marks owns this roughly 15-acre piece of property. The yellow, or the existing house, was his house. He's looking to downscale and build a new house on the remaining lands of his property. So the existing house has utilized Hill Road for its access, since its existence, and would continue to do so. So there'd be no changes at all there. The lot that we're subdividing out is fully developed. You know, it has water, it has sewer, it has electric, and obviously it's, you know, over 4 acres in size, so it's plenty large enough to pretty much do whatever you want with it. You know, because it's tucked in behind those other lots that were carved out on Smoky Ridge, it's kind of in that little U-shaped area. So in order to create a lot that would have the full frontage, what we have to do is kind of give a little sliver around those lots to the south and east onto Grand Road. But, you know, that piece of land really wouldn't do anything to benefit the property because, you know, you have to go over that steep hill that you saw in the photograph, and you kind of depict from the, you know, contouring on the map. So Mr. Marks has asked that, you know, we avoid doing that for really, you know, no real benefit to anybody, and try to subdivide his lot such that, you know, everything stays as is. The new lot being created does have frontage on Grand Road, so that's fully legal. They would share the driveway though, because he wishes to access it from Hill Drive instead of Grand Road. But again, pretty straightforward. You know, the driveways already all exist, the roads all exist, so there's really no new improvements, or we're not trying to, you know, squeeze, you know, 3 building lots out of what, you know, is only allowed 2, you know, so, you know, they are very large lots. So, you know, we feel it's a reasonable request because adding 75 foot of frontage on Durand Road for this lot, that would really just be a leg that goes nowhere, you know, serves no benefit. And in fact, you know, there was a sketch plan that was presented to the town many years ago as far as adding additional lots along Durand Road and carving out 75 feet of frontage for this existing lot, you know, would potentially hinder that future development.
How much land do you actually need off of that little leg there, Aaron? If you had 50 feet on the front, and what you need?
Yeah, they can keep, right, so the Marks parcel owns Hill Road, so it has 50 feet of frontage on Smoky Ridge.
Right. So if they just angled off whatever they needed, they could just continue off of that leg where the rise is, correct?
I guess I'm not following you. No, in order for the existing home to get more frontage, you would have to, because, you know, the driveway Hill Road is, you know, 50-foot wide strip, that all that piece has frontage, you would have to grant additional frontage on Durand Road.
Right.
So you would have to just, you know, do like a 75-foot wide strip in that bottom right-hand corner of the bigger lot and kind of head west off Durand Road, then north along, you know, that triangular piece there, and then tie into, so it almost kind of like a crab. I think that's when you're done with it. So, you know, it'd be a very odd-shaped lot, and, you know, at 75 feet over the bank, you know, it doesn't benefit anybody, you know, because the lot does have access, you know, has plenty of room to get in and out, you know, basically has a road right to that.
No, yeah, I realize that. I'm just saying that you wouldn't even need a variance if it just continued to go straight across there.
Well, yeah, if you go straight across, but as I mentioned, you know, there was a plan, as you can see, the reason why Mr. Marks's land has that little jet at the bottom right-hand corner, those were actually all smaller lots along Durand Road at one point. They were actually merged back together. They were all subdivided and merged back together. So, you know, the goal would be is at some point, as development grows, you know, possibly selling off those lots
hearing portion of the meeting. We can open that up. Is there anybody out there who would like to speak to this matter?
Yes,
Okay.
I would, Anthony from, my mom lives at 43 Smoky Ridge Road. I'm just wondering from, the backyard, what's up with this property. I guess I just don't quite understand in either the shape, how it affects us.
It really doesn't affect you much at all.
Okay,
The only change is gonna be is that, he's gonna have two separate lots up there instead of one big one.
okay. They're not talking about clearing the hill or anything like that behind her.
No, we're not.
Okay, thank you.
It's just, when you request a variance, they notify all the surrounding neighbors in case they have concerns. So you were copied because you had joined the property.
Right, okay. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
We did have opposition. This is from, I'm gonna say their last name wrong.
Bijou?
Yeah. How do you say it?
Bijou?
Bijou, okay. Philip Bijou and Bonnie Bijou. I'm the property owner who abuts the parcel that Ronnie Marks at 32 Hill Drive wants to subdivide, appeal number 2204. I object to his request of the variance. Thank you for the time and attention to this matter. P.S. Questions, concerns, please call, phone number, or write Bonnie Bijou at 285 Durand Road, Plattsburgh, New York.
I'm sorry, Steve, I had a hard time. What was the item of concern or just an objection?
It just strictly said, I object.
Thank you.
Anybody else that wants to talk to this matter?
We have Jody, Gloria, Jocelyn, Kathy. Anybody here to speak on this matter? If so, unmute yourself. Jody?
No. No, thank you.
Okay.
We'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting then, and I would suppose then the balancing test would be the reason that they don't want to attach that one little L shape off the bottom right-hand corner is because future development of lots into that area.
Hold on, Mr. Chairman, it was brought to my attention, we have another one too.
Okay.
It was just faxed in, and I say just, sorry to interrupt you, but this is also from Bonnie Bijou. This is my second letter to the Town Codes and Zoning Office stating my objection to the variance that is sought by Ronnie Marks abutting my property at 285 Grand Hill Road. The area variance to Article 115, Schedule B, area regulations. I'm in full support of zoning, and thus I object to having this property variance changed to suit someone's self-interest. I have known the property has always been short of the required road frontage for many years, and the person who purchased the said property should have known this prior to its purchase instead of assuming he could just change it after the purchase. As a matter of fact, I am still perplexed how a pretty large blacktopping business just down the road from me could be allowed to set up there. That area of Durand Road, this has been zoned residential district for a long time, yet a loud and disruptive trucking business isn't allowed to build there. Let's keep the zoning laws intact and abide by them. Bonnie Bijou. Sorry for that.
So the real question is, as far as subdividing out that one little section to tie into, and I'll use the color, the yellow lot number 2, and get the required road frontage from 50 feet on off the Smoky Ridge Road, and then the rest of the frontage off of the Durand Road.
I mean, we understand that, and I mean, I think it's important to note that with the addition of the one
requesting, Sherman?
Where do they propose to build a new house?
All the way up on the top, where if you go Hill Drive, go up and then it says where it says clearing,
Okay.
you go up Hill Drive, up to the top to the left, do you see that one?
Yep.
Up there.
Those three little dots are where we did the soil test and septic, so the house will be going right up in that area.
So there's no plans to develop anything other than a house in that area?
Not at this point, no. Mr. Marks has owned this piece of property for many years. It's been his home for many years, and the house has outgrown him. So he's spending a little more time down south and wants to downsize, build a smaller facility for himself on the rest of the land.
All right, if we look at the balancing test for an area variance, we look at whether the benefit can be achieved by other means feasible to the applicant. There is that slight possibility of being able to do something with that lower leg. Whether there's an undesirable change in the neighborhood character or to nearby properties, everything's actually staying pretty much the same. The only thing would be is the new house with the subdivision of the one little existing house off of that. Whether the request is substantial, as Aaron has said, we have done this in other locations along the way. And whether the request will have adverse physical or environmental effects. And whether the alleged difficulty is self-created, he's actually trying to downsize his footprint for the area, so. And you don't look at any adverse physical or environmental effects that are going to be happening from this. So does anybody have any recommendations, what they would like to see on this?
Let me just clarify, the reason not to extend the parcel out to the Durand Road is because in the future, he hopes to develop that.
There could be the possibility of development there. It does make for a relatively odd-shaped lot also at the same time, being that one little jot over there to angle off the triangular piece or whatever it would end up being. It's hard for me to say how much area you would actually have to take because I don't know what the actual, this is reduced scale, so.
The road frontage would be, if you're looking at how many lots you could get out of there, that's exactly what it comes down to, Roger, is that in this district, you have to have 125, so it goes 125 times, I think it's on there, for the length of there. Maybe it's not.
And the other thing is, it's about 25 feet of rise right there also.
Okay, there's a possibility of getting one or two lots right down here. On the southern end. But then once you get to this part here, unless you blast this area out, you're not gonna have enough of a buildable area up here in order to put lots. But if somebody could do that, they can get the right price for the lot. But right now, that's what Aaron's saying is, instead of taking this thing down and over to this corner and getting this right here and just leaving this triangle open, or even coming around like this and creating just a weird shaped lot, they'd rather stop here, and if possible, they'd like to, probably sometime in the future, somebody might be able to go across this way and then develop a few lots out here.
But you do have nice easement that you couldn't even build underneath.
Right, there's
Yeah,
a nice
easement.
easement right here.
So that's why I'd say, well, why can't you just go with the easement? You can't build under a New York State easement.
So you might get a lot there, and then you might get a lot on the other side of that easement, but that'd be,
So that's the question of what other means necessary from that, with that corner, that little dot right there, that I think Sherm, you were alluding to, see where it says the overhead? It could come straight down to there too.
yeah. Could come right down like that.
Right, I mean, Mr. Marks is looking, selling that piece, so obviously, we would be basically giving up the least amount of frontage on Durand Road, so that Mr. Marks retains, the balance
see if Matt's got anything to say.
Matt, do you have anything to say? Matt?
For my input?
Yeah, do you have any input on this?
I don't, no, I think as far as, from a legal point of view, it's a straightforward application, whether or not the board wants to approve it or not, that's the board decision, but I don't see any legal pitfalls either side of it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Would we be setting any precedents?
No, we've done this in other locations, so.
Correct, precedent's already been set on issues like this, so this would not set any kind of new precedent.
Make a motion that we approve the variance.
I second.
Okay. Show of hands on that. And roll call vote.
Henry Hale,
Yes.
Jeremy Revity,
Yes.
Marion Alexander,
Yes.
Roger Black,
Yes.
Patrick Duhane.
Yes.
Melanie Mark.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you for your time.
And now we go to the next one.
Mr. Chairman, let's bring up a point of clarification. Secretary shouldn't be asking an alternate for a vote. It's only the 5 members here who are voting.
Oh, okay.
Ma'am, you're just reviewing, so
Sorry.
so only call the 5 active members that are voting.
And 2206.
Next appeal is gonna be 2206 Mount Whitney Meadows on Connecticut Road. They were tabled from, I believe, December. For looking for dollars and cents. They were looking for some feasible, financial feasible information that was submitted on behalf of Mr. Renane from Rosenbaum Appraisal and Consultants. Alan can go over where it is and what they submitted from there and refresh you guys' memory.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we are out on the park, where we know the previous Plattsburgh Air Force Base. This is the Barracks Golf Course over here on the right side. We're looking at this large parcel land right here. Emergency services, this is them up here. Probably gonna talk a little bit, this is Steer RX building right here. This is a vacant building here that they use, Pelon Water uses for, doing their water pools, that kind of stuff in here. So we're looking at this parcel right here. As you see, this parcel here is neighborhood commercial. The rest of this is airport. So, the reason why they're here, they need a use variance because of the classification of this parcel. At one time, there was some kind of delineation of wet areas. So, they kind of surveyed done, so they know exactly where the wetlands are at. So these right here, they exaggerate what's actually out there. But they do have a map, so I can survey for that. So here's kind of what it looked like. This could be the horseshoe. These driveways are still there. Here's what it looks like today. So we're looking at from the backside down this way. So that would be east to the west side, I guess. And this is on the other side, looking back towards Route 9 area and the Barracks Golf Course back here. And here's what they proposed. They're looking to do this building here, those 2 driveways right here and here. Hey Aaron, this one's yours too?
Yeah, I believe, we were before you last month. The board had some concerns about financial return, the first test of the state guideline for granting the use variance. I believe you received a financial report from Mr. Rosenbaum, and I believe he's on the call here today. I'd also just like to update the board that we have been talking with the planning department. They have drafted an amendment to the zoning ordinance to change the zoning for this parcel back to the airport zone, which it was back when Mr. Renane purchased it. That is going before the town board and hopefully voted I've done for the board in the past on other applications. And essentially, what I did here was, I looked at the allowed uses in this district, and after going through all of them, and on the previous page, you know, I think it's page 6 and 7, you know, I explained why, you know, most of the uses weren't really plausible anyway. And then of the uses that were allowed, multifamily, commercial, some residential, and also office, professional office space. Those were the ones that you know, could potentially work. You know, they had some plausibility, but I proved in the next few pages why, you know, there's still not a reasonable return with those uses. So what I'll do is I'll just take you through multifamily and then the commercial and office space calculations. And then I'll give you more comparisons after that. So on page 8, basically what this is showing is if you were to build multifamily development on the same amount of space that they're looking to build the warehouse that's shown here on the screen, then if my calculations are correct, you could probably get about 40 units on that space. And at about 120 per square foot building cost, conservative, that's $4.8 million. And typically the way we look at this is with the equity or the owner's investment, because they're probably going to mortgage most of that as much as they can. So that'd be $1.2 million as the owner's equity. Apartments, newer apartments in this area, I just went with kind of an average of 2-bedroom units at about 1,000 per month. So 40 units at 1,000 per month gets you $480,000 of gross income, taking out the vacancy, which is typically 5%. Taxes, insurance, utility, maintenance, management, reserves, typically runs about 35% of the actual income. So we take that out. And then also calculating the debt service, or what it would cost for the owner to have, you know, to mortgage this property for this use. And that's based on typical commercial terms, current rate, and that's about $285,000. So when you subtract those expenses out, you're left with about $11,000 in cash flow, positive cash flow. But when you compare that to what you got into it as the owner's equity, it's about $1.2 million. That's, you know, less than 1% return on investment. So that right there is really lack of a reasonable return.
On your apartment rent of $1,000 per month, did you look at anything or any special places to come up with that?
To come up with the apartment rent of $1,000 per month?
Yes.
Yeah, so I looked at other places, other apartments that were as close to this as possible. Obviously, there's no apartments within this industrial location, so difficult to find one. But Mr. Zukowski built on Play of the States, which is pretty close, although it's, you know, kind of out on Route 9. And for 2-bedroom units, he's probably averaging, you know, for this comparatively, you know, 1,000 to 1,200 maybe. Other newer units within the town and within the city close by are in that range for newer units. So I could have knocked it down even more for being an industrial location, but.
All right. Yeah, I just, for some new apartments around the area, I thought it was on a little bit of low side, but you're looking at it from being in an industrial area and not being really a prime location. So, okay.
Correct. And I know there's airplane noise and other things there that would affect that, but, you know, so I think all of that plays into why the multifamily use wouldn't really work there. But yeah, I mean, I could have gone higher, a little bit higher on the rent possibly, I think based on.
It would make a huge difference on what your return would be anyways.
No, it wouldn't, right, it wouldn't be a huge difference. So that's it for the multifamily use. If we go to page 9, this will show the calculations, looking at this property, if it were to be developed, that that could be higher for sure, especially with the new project. Taxes, insurance, maintenance, management reserves, those are 20% typically with office space. And then, again, the mortgage amount is based on 75% of the $9 million cost. And when you subtract out all those expenses, you're down to actually a negative cash flow of $38,000. It's a negative, no return on the equity at all. So I think this shows, office definitely won't work there for sure. So, if any questions on that, I can go to the next page.
Go to the next page, or, okay.
So then I showed it, to be able to gauge against these other uses, this warehouse development, if the current proposal for this non-permitted use, were to go forward, this is what they've already kind of got. Maybe not officially, but I think they're close to at least, if not, obviously it's depending on this, but, so looking at what the applicant is proposing to build, this 50,000 square foot warehouse at the typical cost, and this is, compared to what they've got for cost 2 at this point. And that's 7.5 million, owner's equity is 1.875 million. So they've got a triple net lease, which means the tenant actually pays for almost every single expense. And really the landlord is just in charge of administering the lease basically, which there's not going to be too much to that. So there's really no expense there. But 10,000 square foot, 60,000 square feet, you're at 600,000 for your income. No vacancy because it's a 10-year lease. No expenses, and then just the mortgage is really the only expense to the landlord, which $445,470. So you take that out, you end up with cash flow of $154,000, which is an 8.24% return on investment for the equity that they've got in this project. So comparatively, 80% versus I think multifamily was just under 1%. So that shows right there that preventing this use would prevent a reasonable return. We can go to the next page unless there's questions.
I actually think your next couple pages are just, your comparison shopping all your different land values in different areas, right?
Yeah, one is just to compare the land value for similar uses, or for the allowed uses in this district versus land costs where warehouse use is allowed. And then the page after that shows the holding cost versus the potential sale, which results in a net loss. And that's what those 2 pages are.
Thank you, Derek.
And go through those, or, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying thank you for your input. Public hearing portion of the meeting, we'll open it up. Anybody on the call that would like to speak to this matter?
If there's anybody to speak to the matter, please unmute yourself or raise your hand.
Okay, we close the public hearing portion of the meeting. And if we go over the use variance, we have to do a secret on this, don't we? We do. Should do the secret first then. Who's doing it?
So we need this time if I can get it.
Okay.
this was a short form part one. So, you guys did get the part one, part two of the 29 acres industrial, commercial, then we go right to the short form, part two. Will this proposed action create material conflict with an adopted use plan or zoning regulations? No or small impact, moderate to large
It was in
impact?
last month's packet.
Okay. Oh, so it was in last month's, not this month's?
Right. We just got the new information from Mr. Rosenbaum.
Okay, so number one, will the proposed action create material conflict with adopted land use or planning regulations? Small impact or large?
We would say small, I believe.
Small.
Yes.
Okay, raise a hand, small. All in favor, okay. Will the proposed action change in the use or intensity of use of land? Small or large impact?
Small again.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No or small impact or large impact may occur.
No to small.
Say
Will the proposed action have an impact on environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area?
We don't have any.
You don't have any, so that's gonna be, I'm gonna answer that for you guys.
Thank you.
No. Will the proposed action result in adverse change in the existing level of traffic, affect existing infrastructure, mass transit, biking, or walkway? No or small impact or large?
No to small.
Everybody?
Yep.
Okay. Will the proposed action cause an increase in future use, and if it fails to incorporate reasonable available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No small impact or large?
Should be no to small. No concern.
Will the proposed action impact existing public, private supplies, public, private water treatment utilities? Small or large?
Small.
Will the proposed impact impair character of, or quality of impact historical, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? Small or large?
Small.
Okay, will the proposed action result in adverse changes to natural resources, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, or fauna?
Not going to encroach on that area, correct?
Right, so the area surveyed it where
Yeah.
it's outside the area here, and of course, under the site plan, we'll end up controlling their water discharge and filtering it before it ever gets in there anyway.
All right.
So we'll say it's no to small impact.
All right.
Will the proposed impact result in an increase in the potential erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No small impact or to large. As Alan just indicated, it'll have a retention pond. To all of it.
Small.
Small. Thank you. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No small impact or large?
No to small.
And then check this box if you determine the above analysis supporting documents. So that's this is part two, right?
So we should declare a negative
Negative
declaration for the
deck on
seeker.
this.
We need a motion for that.
Make the motion.
Okay, we got two over there. One could be the second, one could be the motion. Show of hands on that, and then the roll call vote.
Henry Hale,
Yes.
Sherman Revenue.
Yes.
Roger Black,
Yes.
Mary Ann Alexander.
Yes.
Patrick Duhane.
And now we do the public hearing.
I did
No, we
that.
already did public
Oh, we
hearing.
did? Okay.
And I can do the use variance criteria, cannot realize a reasonable return substantial as shown by competent financial evidence, which we have gone through and found that. The alleged hardship is unique and does not apply to a substantial portion of Christopher neighborhood, and it's bordering on an industrial area, so it's really not gonna change much there. And again, the requested variance will not alter essential character of the neighborhood. Again, it's not right in an industrial area, and the alleged hardship has not been self-created. So it would be a matter of granting a use variance. Anybody want to make that motion?
Make a motion to grant
And then second.
Okay, and show of hands on that. And a roll call vote.
Henry Hale,
Yes.
Sherman Revenue,
Yes.
Roger Black,
Yes.
Marion Alexander,
Yes.
Patrick Duhane.
Yes.
Derek and Aaron, you are all set.
Thank you, guys.
Again, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Last but not least is Gerald Menard, owner of 22 Sears Boulevard. They're asking for three area variances. Request to be allowed to keep a 36 by 30 home foundation that doesn't meet the 50-foot front yard setback, encroaching 1.1 feet in the front yard, and another front yard setback, and 48.9 feet to the front property line, with a garage encroaching in on, or a potential garage area. This is a tucked-in area that Alan can come over the details with you first.
So, Mr. Chairman, there are three portions of this variance, there's three different ones. So we're gonna go with that. So this is Moffett Road here, this is Sears Boulevard, we're looking at this corner lot right here. The whole area is zoned R2. So this is the vacant lot right now. Here's what it looks like today, so they did come in, they got their permit, their modular home here. There's going to be a attached garage right here on the side, on the end of it. This is the front facing part of the house. So this foundation has been poured. So we're looking at a first variance right here, at this corner from this road.
1 foot.
Right, that's correct. And then they want to put a deck, a little front porch deck right here on the front, so that would require a variance as well. And then on the side of the house, when they attach the garage here, that garage will also need a variance. So you should have something like this in your packets. So this is the buildable envelope. This is where they put the foundation right here. So that's where that first variance is. So variance number 1 is from the property line up to this corner of the house, or the foundation right now. They'd like to be able to build this deck, 8 by 12, I believe is what it is.
Yeah.
So that would require another variance for that deck. And then this is the garage right here, and you can see where this blue line actually goes past the yellow buildable line, which means this portion of the garage would actually sit in the front yard setback. So that's variance number 3 right there.
Who do we have on from the Menards?
Luke, Joe Menard is on. Mr. Menard, you wanna unmute yourself?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm not used to Zoom, so.
So, yeah, you're on.
So we had a foundation poured in the wrong place.
Hello?
Yes?
Yeah, the speaker's going like in and out. We're building this for Mrs. Underwood, and, I'm out in the field, so I still don't understand why the foundation, Mr. Twigs dug the hole, and Mr. Spurrier put the foundation in, but then when the stakes are gone, from when you first start, of course, you take out 4 feet both ways, it got twisted just a little bit. That's the foundation part. And, Mrs. Underwood would like to have a front porch, and then she would like to have an additional garage at some point, maybe within a year. So, that's where we are.
Who's on the phone right now?
Mr. Menard.
That's not
It doesn't sound like
Who, can you state to the board who's actually speaking right now?
I'm Gerald Menard, I'm Jerry, my father.
Oh.
So, but he doesn't know how to do Zoom, so this is Jerry's son, Jay.
Okay, Jay.
All right, so the first
He's
variance,
84 years old, so he doesn't do computers.
so we're looking for about a 1 inch, or 1 foot, 1 inch or 2 inch variance
I'm gonna speak on behalf of the code department. Mr. Menard, if you can hear me, this is, Steve on behalf of the code department. So, this was not a once, not a twice, but a 3-time mistake that we went, not only with your neighbor, the neighbors, Mohammed Admin called us and said, hey, the house doesn't look like it's in the correct spot. Can you please call? I called down and talked to one of the salesmen. Nope, Steve, it looks good. We moved it back a little bit. We said the front corner facing Sears Boulevard may be off. No, we got it. Not once, not twice, but 3 times we made Plattsburgh Wholesale Homes aware that it does not look in the right spot. They also hired, which was Dean Lajway, to go out there and actually set the pins, and yet this home is still in the wrong spot, and now you're coming in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals after 3 separate times that we said it does not look it's in the right spot. Can you explain
I
that?
would love to have a trick, Steve, I would love to know who you talked to at the office, because nobody recollects. I mean, I did that conversation, I don't know who you talked to at our office that called 3 times, and nobody knows, because if we'd have known, I mean, and I'm sure you have records, and I'm sure you called somebody. We have 3 salesmen in the office, I just don't know who you talked to, because if I'd have known this or ahead of time, I'm out in the field setting houses, so, I mean, it's just an honest mistake. I'm not saying you didn't call, if we'd have known, because we had, Mosier was the one that went up to set the pins, he's the one who designed this. Yeah, we had to move, because of this odd lot, you got two road frontages, so it's not normal setbacks that I'm used to anyways. Scott, my brother Scott used to do this all the time, and he was in the office, he was good at it. It's just, the foundation's there, you know.
Oh, Jay, it's Alan Reese.
We don't mean to do anything wrong with the town.
Jay, just want to let you know, I'm the one who went out there and verified the first time stakes were in the ground. I talked to Adrian, that's one of your salesmen. Told him that, you know, the stakes are definitely off because I did a rough estimate, you know, tape measure, just rough check, and stakes were way off. He said it wasn't his project, he said it was John's project. So then John called me back and I reminded him that, you know, this is a corner lot and you got 2 front yards, you need to make sure you move those stakes. He actually did me a whole new plot plan showing me that, you know, he now complies. I then signed the permit, and then now we find out that the stakes are still in the wrong spot.
I can't make excuses for my people, they're salespeople. Like I said, we had Mosier went out and bought this. He told us everything we had to do. I mean, when you're measuring out the center of the road, and then you got the 25 foot and everything else, and when Daryl goes out and puts his forms in, he can be off, you know, 2 inches or 4 inches. We had to keep, there was setbacks for the back, we had to keep the house to the left, for the septic. Yeah, I mean, I'm, like I said, it's an honest mistake. It's 1.1 foot, and, you know, I mean, you know, depends who's measuring. And, I mean, we're sorry.
That Dean Lajway did this.
And from now on, Steve, if you would like, you deal with me only, like you did with Scott. I mean, I'm the only one left, so. These guys are just salesmen, you know, when they take calls, at least if I'm on it, it'll be done right. And we've dealt together, Steve, we've dealt together for a long time, so.
So was it the bank that caught this? Who caught the actual and did the survey for us?
Dean Lajway is the actual one that caught this, because of the way the loan works, they had to have a plot plan. So they had to have a detailed plot plan for the bank loan. And Dean's the actual one that caught this. And then, I mean, on the property itself, on the right-hand side of the property, there's not even a pin. The only pin they could find was on the back part of the property and a pin across the street. Then they couldn't even find a pin between the lots.
But you understand, that's why Dean Lajway is a surveyor and Mosier's an engineer. So engineers don't do plot plans, that's why you have surveyors do it.
Right, but we had to have
So the first variance is for 1 foot, 1 inch?
1.1 feet.
We still got public hearing. Is there anybody on there, Drew?
Yeah, we got 5 people on here outside.
Open up the public hearing portion of the meeting. Anybody out there like to speak on mute or wave your hand so that they can tell us? And then you can state your name and address, and you can state your opinion.
Jody, you're on?
Hi, my name's Jody Underwood. This is the house that, we are trying to build. I'm asking for the town to please grant the variances. We are working to build this for our family. We have been waiting since August to get all of this done. We sold our home. We are all in on this project. I don't think that the variances that we are asking for are going to be anything that will affect the community as a whole. We have the foundation in place. We have the town water ready to go. We have the septic in. Need a variance so we can put steps on the front of the house now. It was a huge mistake that was made by Plattsburgh Wholesale Homes. I feel that going forward, it would be in their best interest to work out their project with the engineer and also a licensed surveyor at the same time, so that in the future this doesn't happen. But I'm asking the town board to please grant these variances so that my family can have a home and we can continue this build. It will benefit the community as a whole to have a house on there for taxpayers as well. I don't see where this lot would be of use to anyone if we can't move forward.
I have 2 questions for you. Number 1 question is that on your front deck or porch steps, whichever you want to call it, if it was reduced down to 6 feet by 12 feet, would that be a terrible inconvenience? Half the reason I asked that question is because we're supposed to be granting a variance of the most least instead of the most.
A 6 by 12 would be acceptable.
All right. And then my other question would be, instead of going for a full 24 by 30 garage, could you go to a stall and a half garage or something of that nature?
No, we would not want to compromise on that. We had plans when we built this house to be able to add a 24. We actually wanted a 28 by 30.
Okay, all right.
But we went down to 24 by 30 on this variance. We felt that that was a reasonable, thing to do considering we had to go 4 feet.
Thank you. Anybody else out there that wants to speak to this matter?
If you'd like to speak to the matter, please unmute yourself or raise your hand.
All right. We'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting and we can go on to the variance number 1, which is 1 foot 1 inch of variance for that front corner of the foundation. Anybody have any questions on that one?
I'll make a motion to grant that variance.
All right, and a second?
I'll second it.
Second, and raise your hand for show of vote there. And roll call vote.
Henry Hill.
Yes.
Chairman Revenue.
Yes.
Mary Ann Alexander.
Yes.
Roger Black.
Yes.
Patrick Duhane.
Yes.
And the second variance is for the front steps, which we have verified as going down to a 6 foot wide front deck. And I should go over the balancing test because whether the benefits can be achieved by other means feasible to the applicant is what we looked at, saying that we reduced down the size of the deck, so that would minimize the variance. most of the homes in that area do have porches, steps on the front of their homes, so it doesn't do it undesirable change in the neighborhood characteristics. The request isn't substantial, is that we reduced it down, and it would be basically 2 feet 6 inches, 8 inches of variance for that one, and it won't have an adverse physical or environmental effect to the area. So can we have a vote on that one?
I'll make a motion that we approve the porch at 6 foot 12 inches, or.
6 foot by
6
12
by
foot.
12 feet.
Yes. Okay, a second on that one?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
you want to clarify that the stairs would come off the side of the porch, not the front?
Stairs would go towards the driveway,
Correct.
okay?
Right.
All right, so we had, Sherman made the motion, 6 by 12, Roger seconds it. A show of hands and a roll call vote on that one.
Henry Hale,
Yes.
Jeremy Revenue.
Yes.
Marion Alexander.
Yes.
Roger Black.
Yes.
Patrick Duhane.
Yes.
All right, and using the same criteria that we just used for the area variance for the steps in the front. The garage on the side, which would need a 4 foot 8 inch variance for the garage, as we spoke to Ms. Underwood for the reducing down. They actually have already reduced down the size of the garage from what they originally want, from the 28 by 30 down to a 24 by 30.
Does it matter that it's still in the future that, I think he said that.
It's a future product, but they would still need the variance
If
for it.
we're granting the variance is only good for 1 year, so they'd have to start the build of that garage within 1 year. Or they'd have to come back and ask for an extension.
Do we have them on still to know that fact?
Jody, you still on there? Do you want to unmute yourself and answer that question?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
We would plan to build it within the year of the variance.
Okay.
Thank you.
And can I ask a question?
Yes?
If we wanted to, could we push the garage back? Would it matter, or does it have to go right up tight to the house, or can it be pushed, keep it in the position it's in, but push it back a little bit? Would that be okay, as long as it stays in that 14.7 range?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. It would actually reduce down the size of the variance because you're a little bit on an angle there.
Right, but would that be a possibility? I mean, could we get the variance granted for the 24 by 30, but maybe we just change the position and push it back?
Yes.
Okay, all right, great. Thank you.
You want to make sure that you get it pinned in the right location. Highly recommended.
Okay,
All right, so that would be 4 foot 8 inches, and they can move the garage to the rear of the lot, back into the building outline that they have on their plan.
Are we gonna approve the moving of that?
You don't have to.
We don't have to.
If it's within the setback.
It's
So
in-
that's why
it's in-
you'd hate to have them come back again and have a 4th variance.
Right. Gotcha.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
We got a motion from Sherman
Second.
and Patrick, and a show of hands, and a roll call vote.
Henry Hale,
Yes.
Jeremy Revenue.
Yes.
Marion Alexander.
Yes.
Roger Black.
Yes.
Patrick Duhane.
Yes.
And Menard and Jody, you would be all set.
Thank you, guys.
yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm looking for, sir?
Now I'll make a motion to
And that's it.
Got a lot of sure, he's always ready with that.
yeah, we almost won that one.
Is that written somewhere?
Yeah, that's, there was a little card that you got, and it'll say, hopefully.
Thanks, Matt. See you later.
Thank you, Matthew. There should have been like a laminated one, if not, we can get you one. So each one's different, one's got a area variance and it has the criteria, there's 4, and then a use variance has 5 criteria. If you don't have one,
The other way around.
normally we stick them right in there, we can get you one.
Oh,
That's different. Oh, bam, look at this, this is laying on the spot right
Thank
here.
you.
So on here, this is what Henry kind of goes down. So if it's a use, like a use that's not